Hello again, everybody. This is John from BestPriceNutrition.com. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about Phytoceramides. They were recently mentioned on the Dr. Oz show where, of course, it had a hyperbolic title to the show. It was Fake a Facelift. So as a result of this, we've gotten a ton of questions. What are these? Can you really fake a facelift? Questions along those lines. And really we'll start with what happens to your skin as you age. And pretty much what happens is these ceramide levels, which is the major lipid composition of your skin, specifically the outer layer, that's responsible for holding in moisture and keeping it plump and tight, basically tight junctions, because it makes up the intercellular cement, if you will, found just here within your skin. And one of the main functions of skin is to keep bad stuff out and good stuff in. It serves as a barrier. So they spoke about this, and as I said, these levels of ceramides start to deplete or decline with age. That's why people who are older sometimes, they wrinkle a lot more, your skin gets looser and things like that because these junctions are not as tight. So the idea is that by taking a plant-based ceramide, aka a phytoceramide, is that you can increase ceramide levels. Now, just a brief little history here. Phytoceramides have been in creams and topical lotions for quite a few years now. But your skin it's a pretty good barrier. It does a really good job of keeping stuff out and keeping good stuff in, so to speak. I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but that's basically what we're talking about here. And the question is, well, what's the best way to get these ceramide levels up? Yes, creams and things like that, they'll add moisture to your skin, but that can only last so long. So the idea is, hey, let's take it to the next level and see what we can do orally to increase it by taking in a phytoceramide pill, for instance, to get these ceramide levels back up. Now, before I go any further, I just want to note that there's not any one thing that's going to have this great effect on something. It's just not how the body works. The body doesn't work in an isolated fashion. However, since ceramides do make up about 35 to 40% of this, lipid in the intercellular matrix, it is a pretty significant portion. So raising these levels can play a pretty key role, and there is some pretty good research actually demonstrating it to be, relatively effective at helping with this. Now, this, along with some other good habits, things that would help maybe inhibit glycation, for instance, is where sugars are left floating around the blood, binding up with polyunsaturated fats, which then breaks down collagen. That's part of the problem. So that's kind of the history there, and these have been used in Japan since about the year 2000. They were approved by the Japanese equivalent of the FDA for use. They've been demonstrated to be safe, and part of the reason is because in Japan, actually, one of the traditions is to eat konjac tuber. It's basically been used for centuries. It's a Japanese staple to diet, and it happens to be a really rich source of phytoceramides. So that was part of it, and then the US FDA recently approved use of it for oral consumption. And when taken orally, and the dose is about 350 milligrams a day, it doesn't matter whether you take it on an empty or full stomach. None of that matters. It'll absorb fine. And they found that once it hits the small intestine, it absorbs intact, or if it is broken down into a fatty acid, it actually gets reconstituted as ceramide as it reaches the skin. It takes about 4 weeks to work, because that's about how long it takes to shed skin and to fill in these new ceramides. So based on the research, and they've used different measures. Some of them are subjective, it's just asking, and then also they have some dermatological factors that they look at: dryness, redness, flaking, and they'll use some other devices to measure this to see. And these trials on humans specifically have demonstrated to be relatively effective at alleviating some of these problems. So other questions we've gotten is, are there any side effects? As I mentioned, no. You can take them with or without food. It doesn't matter. It's not really going to interfere with anything. But it is shown that the plant-based ceramides, phyto meaning plant, can increase those ceramide levels, because again, those are what's declining with age. Other questions that we've gotten include, let me just see here, I'm just going through real fast here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, is the 350 milligrams per day. Oh, and one other thing too, it's been mentioned, it makes sense too, is taking it with a topical vitamin C cream may also make it more effective. And also I'd add my own note, which would be, again, eating good. Just quick thing would be, limiting polyunsaturated fats, too many of those, along with too many sugars and basically calories in general. Ideally you want to eat at about a level of what you burn or a little bit less than that. And that also is going to help, because, as I said, glycation is a process that can contribute to the breakdown of collagen as well as these ceramide levels declining. So the other thing to note too, actually, is that you can get phytoceramides from wheat, sweet potatoes, or rice. If it's from wheat, the gluten content, like for instance this one is actually from wheat, something called lipo wheat. They're actually using wheat germ oil extract to get the ceramides from. So if you have gluten intolerance or celiac, you're going to want to look for one that is from rice or sweet potato, because obviously you're trying to avoid those things. So I hope that sums it up for you guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them in the comments section of the video or blog. We're more than happy to answer, and thank you for watching.